Hey, everybody, and greetings to all. It is a great day to be great, and it is a great day to celebrate. And there are three things in particular that I like to celebrate with you all before we get started. The first thing I like to celebrate ASCD for putting together another phenomenal conference despite the conditions of our country, despite the current state of the field of education. Thank you for pushing and continuing to push to improve the quality of education that we're providing our young people through the quality professional development for our teachers and for our leaders. Now, the second thing I like to celebrate again is ASCD for putting our educators first with this year's conference theme. I love it. Educator health and wellness. This is an extremely important topic, and there are tons of different sessions embedded within the conference that address all angles of educator health and wellness. And the third thing I like to celebrate the educators and the educational leaders who are in attendance at this conference, and also those who made a decision, who decided to return to the classroom this year, understanding where we are and understanding the challenges that we're faced with. More challenges than resources, more questions than answers. Nonetheless, you're still here. During the summer, there was a statistic that said 1 in 5 teachers made the decision not to return to the classroom. And as you already know, this is not an easy field to begin with. You know, it's a field of scarcity as far as highly qualified educators. And with all that 2020 has presented us, here we are. So again, I want to celebrate all of those teachers who are still giving their all to the field, whether you're in the building or whether or not. It just comes to show that teachers can do virtually anything. So a little bit about myself. I am Dr. Daryl Crosby. I am currently an assistant principal at an elementary school here in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia, Hampton City Schools to be exact. I've been in education for almost 20 years. I've taught on the elementary level. I've coached on the high school level, and I've also taught on the college level. I'm an author of a book called Legacy Within the Educator, 5 Characteristics of Greatness. And I'm also the host of the Infinite Impact Leadership Podcast. I am a family man. This is the Crosby crew, my wife, Dr. Jaren Crosby, and my daughters, Jairus and Jace. For about 10 years, we ran a nonprofit organization called My Life, My Legacy, where we helped high school students understand the importance of continuing their education after high school, going on to receive some form of formal higher education, and we've helped numerous students get into college. We even had one of our students who was one of the last recipients of the Gates Millennium Scholarship. And here's a fun fact. Not only do my wife and I love education, we also have a love for music. We both have music backgrounds. We met in college as music education majors. It was pretty cut and dry. She saw me, fell in love, and that was the ball game from there. And now we have a business called Encore Music and Entertainment, where my wife teaches private piano, viola, and violin lessons, physically and virtually. And I have an alter ego as DJ Cross, and I DJ various events from weddings to virtual school events. So speaking of music, the song that you hear in the background is a song called Reminisce. And I felt that this was important because that's exactly what I would like for us to do in this moment. So just for a few seconds, I'd like for you all to just close your eyes, and I would like for you to do just that. Reminisce. I want you to reminisce and reflect on your very own experience in school, whether it was elementary school, middle school, high school, college, private school, public school, it doesn't matter. I want you to think about your favorite teacher. I want you to think about why this person was your favorite teacher. Was it something that this teacher said to you? Was it something that this teacher did for you? Maya Angelou once said, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. How did your favorite teacher make you feel? By the way, you can go ahead and open your eyes now. And when I reminisce on my education, there are three particular teachers that come to mind to go along with this question. I think about Dr. Carl G. Harris, who was one of my college professors in the music department at Hampton University. He's passed away now, but I think about how he would give anything and he would give everything that he possibly could to make sure I was successful as a young man, as a young college student. And I think about Lorraine Bell, who was also one of my college music professors. She was my voice professor. And even to this day, we still, every time we can, every opportunity, we take some time to break bread with her and absorb some of the life lessons that she continues to give us. And I say us because it's not just me that she has shared these nuggets and shared these moments with. Miss Bell has shared those same things with many of her students. And then I go all the way back to my days in middle school, in seventh grade to be exact. And I think about Mr. Carter. I think about how cool Mr. Carter was and how he listened to me as a student and how he knew my name. You know, I don't even remember what Mr. Carter taught. I can't remember if it was math or if it was science. In fact, I hope it was science, because if he found out the type of math student I became, I don't think he'll be proud of that. So, but either way, Mr. Carter was one of the ones that I put on top of my list as my favorite teachers. But I think that just illustrates my point. You see, in education, every student is influenced by someone, right? Every student is led by someone. And that someone could be their teacher or it could be an administrator. Either way, it's important for us to remember this, and you'll hear me say this quite a few times. Teachers are leaders, and leaders are teachers. Students do not connect with the content that their leader is teaching. Remember why you thought about your favorite teacher. Was it that you liked the teacher because of the subject or the content that they taught, or was it that you liked the content or the subject because of the teacher? More than likely, it's the former. So again, I'll say it again. Students do not connect with the content that their leader is teaching. They are connected to the character of that leader. Now, here's something I've learned throughout my career that I will continue to stand by until the end of time. Character will eat content for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'll say that again. Character will eat content for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But think about that. Remembering teachers are leaders and leaders are teachers. The character of the leader impacts the climate of the building. The character of the leader impacts the culture of the building. The character of the leader impacts the morale in the building. Eventually, the character of the leader will impact the data of the building, which will impact the success of the students, which will impact the success of the community, which will impact the success of society, and so forth and so on. The character cycle continues. So let me say it again. Character will eat content for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, don't get me wrong. Every subject in any curriculum has a level of importance. We get that. We know that. It has value. It all works together to ensure students are academically successful. In a different setting, I usually would propose a question and allow some turn and talk opportunities so that we can establish a running list of issues that weigh heavily on the hearts of educators. In fact, go ahead and drop some of those issues and challenges in the chat. Now, we don't have a whole lot of time, but this does give us an opportunity to learn from each other. And I'm sure that some of the issues and similar that I'm going to speak about shortly will pop up in the chat. For example, the ever-changing of educational experiences and policies, lack of funding, lack of parental support, or with this virtual learning, too much parental support, the scare of COVID-19 and the uncertainty of the pandemic, new educational best practices, educational technology, meetings, lack of planning time, differentiating instruction, ensuring students have all that they need to be successful, ensuring staff has all that they need to be successful, uninspired students. And again, these are all just a few of the challenges that educators deal with on a daily basis. Now, remember, teachers are leaders and leaders are teachers. So it doesn't matter the role that you play in education. You all can relate to these different types of challenges. However, without these challenges, think about this, without these challenges and without this adversity, you do not become the life-changing advocates and the superheroes that you are. I've always believed that leadership stinks, but you know what? I love it. Therefore, I call it the lovely stench of leadership. So in many cases, being the committed, passionate, driven individuals that you all naturally are, there are times when you try to put everything on your shoulders, right? And you try to handle everything on your own. You use all of your personal resources. Sometimes you mismanage your time. Some people call that the grind. And you place the needs of others before yourself. You work endlessly. You work relentlessly. You give your all to the profession. But the truth is, exhaustion is not a badge of honor. In fact, reaching for this badge can lead to the abuse, and it can lead to the demise of your very own minds, your bodies, and your souls. So as teachers, how do you protect yourselves and your students from this abuse? As leaders, how do you protect yourselves, your teachers, your students from this abuse? As a leader and a teacher, you're going to face so much, especially during these turbulent times, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's in the building, or whether it's in your department, wherever you are, you will get hit with the lovely stench of leadership. It's bound to happen. So let me ask you all this question, as I feel this is critical to your success as a leader. How emotionally and socially aware are you as a leader? And I know it's a broad question. I know it is. In fact, I like to provide you all with two free resources or quizzes, one by the Harvard Review that's entitled, Do You Lead with Emotional Intelligence? And the other one is entitled Test Your Emotional Intelligence by the Greater Good Science Center at the University of California, Berkeley. And of course, these are not all of the available resources. There are plenty out there. In fact, ASCD provides a ton of free resources that support social emotional learning for students, for teachers, and for leaders. So when you get a chance, check that out. But the resources that I gave you, they provide a baseline of reality that you can use to develop a game plan for improving your leadership, whether it's in the classroom or in the building. And it will allow you to become a little more transparent about yourself. And listen, I understand how unpleasant it is when you're facing yourself in the mirror, when you're looking to self-reflect. It's unpleasant, it's uncomfortable. And it's one of the reasons why leadership stinks. You know, the lovely stench of leadership. But again, you'll learn to love it because the more introspective and reflective that you are, the more your character transforms into one that leaves an infinite impact on the people that you serve. Now, we all know how stress and trauma can negatively impact a child's social emotional health. We know that. We've read all the articles. We're very aware of that. But please understand, as we're talking about our students, please understand that teachers and leaders, adults in general, are no different. Stress will negatively impact the social emotional health and the competencies of a leader. You are not exempt. Think about it. When a leader is under the stress of their platform. Their self-awareness is clouded, meaning their ability to understand their own emotions, their own thoughts, their own values, and how they influence their constituents. The leader loses the ability to recognize when things are not going in the right direction within themselves. They lose awareness of all the warning signs of stress and or mental illness, and they tend to continue going on about their lives in the same manner. And they're not being aware that they need to make some adjustments in their daily approach. Meanwhile, the stress continues to eat away at them, breaking them down, altering their character and their ability to lead with integrity. When someone is under the stress of leadership, their ability to self-manage is compromised. They struggle to control their emotions during the most stressful times, which could cause, some people, the people that they're serving, it can cause them to question their ability to lead and to lose trust. Now, here's one thing that I've learned about trust that's been very powerful in my career. And it says this: trust doesn't come with the refill. Once it's gone, you probably won't get it back. And if you do, it will never be the same. And that's a fact. So leading under stress, we have to be very careful, because leading under stress can negatively impact the leader's ability to make responsible decisions, which is another element, another competency under the social emotional learning. The ability to establish and maintain healthy and rewarding relationships with diverse individuals and groups. This all includes communicating clearly, listening actively, cooperating, resisting inappropriate social pressure, negotiating conflict constructively, and seeking and offering help when needed. Now, this one is crucial to the well-being of the leader's environment, and it speaks volumes about their character, about the character of the leader. Being able to make responsible decisions, and if I can add, being able to make responsible decisions based on facts instead of feelings, that can be the difference between success and failure. And it also can be the difference between life and death. Yes, I do understand that that was a heavy statement, and we don't have, enough time to go into the specific details and the examples, but I can guarantee that a good percentage of you all, as teachers and as leaders, have faced a situation where your ability to make those responsible decisions saved someone. And I say that reflecting on a time in my leadership life where one of my staff members literally suffered a stroke in front of me during the school day. And I had to act swiftly. I had to act accordingly by putting things in order and by communicating with the proper people to ensure that my staff member had everything that they needed to fully recover. I'm grateful to say that we made it through that situation, but I'm not sure that everyone else across the board, across the country, who's been in a similar situation, I'm not sure that they can say the same. Now, don't get me wrong. I could not have done it without the help of my colleagues. And I believe that this is where one's character and the relationship skills work simultaneously. And if anyone knows me, they know that I'm big on character. They know that I'm big on relationships. To me, relationships are key to success. Relationships are key to life, period. But when a leader is attacked by stress on a consistent basis, it stifles the ability to establish, to grow, and to sustain positive, meaningful relationships within the building. And then we get into the competency that really puts a leader's character on display when they are facing professional or personal adversity. And that's that social awareness. And to be quite honest, this entire country has shown the need for intensive tier 3 supports when it comes to how socially aware we are or not. According to Castle, social awareness is the ability to take the perspective of and empathize with others, including those from diverse backgrounds and cultures. The ability to understand social and ethical norms for behavior and to recognize family, school, and community resources and supports. When a leader is under turmoil, they lose the ability to empathize with others. They lose that ability to say the right thing at the right time to the right people. And when this happens, guess what else they lose? They lose trust, they lose respect, they lose credibility, they lose loyalty, and they lose a whole lot more. And as a leader, if one doesn't have these things, they have nothing. And they will constantly find themselves reminding others that they are the leader. And one thing that I've learned through my experience, if you have to remind people that you are the leader, they have already decided to follow someone else. So the platform of leadership can be a powerfully rewarding space, right? When done correctly. The opportunities to build and connect with so many different people, the chance to encourage and develop the next generation of leaders, the opportunities to sharpen your own skills and develop your own self. I could go on and on about the benefits of being a leader. But even when done correctly, we have to understand this. Leadership is stressful. Leadership never turns off. Everyone expects the leader to know all the answers. The leader is expected to get there early and to stay late. The leader is supposed to look strong and positive in all situations. The stressors continue, especially nowadays in this COVID era. In a recent Yale study of educational leaders in New York City, leaders were asked to share the 3 emotions that they had experienced the most around the first couple of weeks of the 2020-2021 school year. An overwhelming 95% of the feelings they named could be classified as negative. The most common mentioned emotion was anxiety. And then there was overwhelmed, sad, stressed, frustrated, uncertain, and worried. Now listen, I take a lot of pride in the role that I play as a leader. I do not take leadership lightly. I understand how important sound, effective leadership is to not only one person, but to generations of people. And earlier I mentioned how character will eat content for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I wholeheartedly believe that. However, many studies have shown that stress causes deterioration in everything from your gums to your heart, and it can make you more susceptible to a myriad of other illnesses. A leader's character cannot flourish under the influence of stress. And many of you are already on top of that, and you've developed your own systems and routines and mindset that work for you to help you combat and reduce the levels of stress on your lives. So this would be a great time to share some of the things that you do. So in the chat, go ahead and drop something that you do to help you deal with the stress of being a teacher, the stress of being a leader, the stress of dealing with everything that we're dealing with. Go ahead and drop something in the chat. And as you're doing that, I'd like to highlight some ideas that have impacted me in my life and in my research. The first one is this: control what you can. Control what you can control. In these turbulent times, there's so much that we have no control, no influence over. And many of us struggle with that because that's not what we're used to. But you do have complete control over how your time is spent and filtering who and what gets your time. Something else that I think will be helpful: tap into your hobbies, your talents, your gifts, the things that you really like to do. Earlier, I told you all about my music background and how I often transform into DJ crawls of encore music and entertainment for various events. And in my career as a musician and as a DJ, I've done tons of events, but my most memorable ones were the virtual school parties that I put together for schools and families across the country right at the beginning of the quarantine. And being able to do that brought so much joy to my heart, and it brought so much normalcy to the families that were involved. And I was able to relieve some of the stress, the personal stress and the personal anxiety that I had built up inside of me. Again, going through times that it was just really uncertain what was going to happen. But I was able to kind of tap into my gifts, to my talents, to my skills, and I was able to help other families out. So that is a great way to kind of ease the stress, reduce the stress, combat the stress that you're going through. Here's another idea. Connect with other teachers and other leaders, because no one else can really relate to your challenges like the people inside of your circle. You can gain bonus points if these people are also accountability partners for you as well. Even within these conversations that you're having with these people, you want to put barriers in place. This connection is not meant to add stress by complaining and harping on the negative. You know, if you bring the issues, you also want to bring solutions as well. And you want to give yourself an outlet to release some of the thoughts and some of the feelings that you have with everything that's going on. But you do not want to turn this into a griping session. And you'll feel much better when you're done. Here's another idea. Hey, play games, whether it's board games, card games with the family, video games, games on Zoom. A little fun competition can ease some of the stress. Hey, work out. Physical activities will always be approved by the medical experts. Adjust your eating habits. You'd be surprised how small adjustments to your diet can make huge changes in your life. Read books, articles, blogs, audiobooks. If you're someone who's interested in podcasts, tap into those things, because they can really take your mind to another direction that can help forget about the stresses that's going on and forget about the challenges that you're dealing with. And this one may be the most important one of all. Do not be afraid to seek professional help. Educators can be some of the most stubborn people on earth. Let's face it, typically because they are some of the smartest people on earth, and they feel that they have everything that they need to solve anything. No, I highly recommend, if needed, to seek the help of a professional when it comes to your physical, spiritual, or mental well-being. And of course, we can add more and more and more to this presented list, but these are a start. Now remember, teachers are leaders, leaders are teachers. You are superheroes. While you may not save the world, you can save somebody's world. However, you cannot save their world if your world is stressed and not well. Again, I'd like to thank ASCD for the opportunity to connect with some great educators about a very important topic. And I hope I've added value to your profession, to your life, to your leadership, to your mindset, to your character. In fact, I hope I somewhat offended someone today, but not to the point where you're looking for retaliation, but you're looking for how to make adjustments in your daily practices that will keep your character positive and that will keep your character sharp. And as I leave, I would like to close with some reflective questions that you can carry on with you and take back with you as you are focusing on developing and growing your character, your leadership, and your wellness. Again, I am Dr. Daryl Crosby, and remember, at some point, you will get hit with the lovely stench of leadership. So build your character and everything else within your classroom, within your building, within your department will fall right into place. Thank you.
Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, I walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Yeah, hey, every day can be a better day. despite the challenge. All you gotta do is leave it better than you found it. It's gonna get difficult to stand, but hold your balance. I just say whatever, cause there is no way you're round it. Everyone falls down sometimes, but you just gotta know it'll all be fine. It's okay. It's okay.